What's up, guys? This is usually we do Sports Debate Tuesday, but I'm actually having my guy Timmy B as a podcast guest. And we're gonna have a little bit more of a conversational thing happening. This is episode 246. The episode starts right now. Welcome back. This is Timmy B, my man, the founder of the Fight and Sight podcast, a Canadian host and podcaster, and a color commentator for combat sports. And you know me, Jason DeBeas. I love that sign. I gotta have a sign, man. This whole background, this gotta go. I'm talking to some people. This right. I'm almost on 250.
I'm in the work, dude. I'm on episode 231 this week, and actually, I'm trying to change up my look too. I'm trying to paint some walls and do some stuff, but I'm lazy as hell. So maybe by episode 500, we'll see.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's time. It's time. And actually, I bought a big old American flag. I might just put behind me, but nice. I know a guy, you know, and at least have something that looks like yours. Your background looks fantastic, dude.
No, I don't. Well, see, depending on how I angle it or whatever, it always looks kind of different. And I got like the stupid pot lights that are messing me up. But right. Yeah, I got other stuff I got to add. You know, I got a Funko Pop. Mm-hmm. My wife made me a Funko Pop of me doing my commentary.
Oh wow. Oh, come on.
Look at that.
You got to be kidding. God, we got to get one.
Wait, jeez. Is it better there? Wait, it's hard for me to see where it is on the screen here.
It is. It's there.
There we go.
I could go full screen, but
boom,
you're there.
Boom, baby. Look at that. That's me.
Fantastic, dude. That's
me.
Ridiculous.
It's very cool, man. Shout out to Funko Pops that does this. Like, you know, you can customize it and stuff. So it's pretty cool, man.
Funko Pops. I'm doing one. I got to do one for me with the Yankee hat and headphones. So, yeah.
And a volleyball.
Yes. Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, honestly, that's if I stay with volleyball, man. You look like you're having some fun with MMA.
Dude, I love it, man. Look, I've been doing the commentary, like since we've talked, I've been doing the commentary for Fight League Atlantic now. It's going on 2 years in September. I'm going to be my second year doing commentary for them, 5 shows a year, which is great. And I just picked up, I was doing some Muay Thai stuff here in Toronto. And just trying to, diversify as much as you can.
Yeah, and I like the staff badges and the guest badges because I have like a whole bunch of things, and I'm sad that this thing isn't working. I'm sad because I was just gonna point my camera to like the ones that say coach and the one that says press. Oh, it's working. Nice. Oh, look at that, it's working now. Oh, it's working. Let's go to camera 4. All right.
Oh, there you go.
There it is. So. Check it out. These are
nice.
So we have kind of the same thing.
Yeah, dude.
Those are the ones.
There was one event where I left my badge.
Every hat has a name association. So
very cool, man. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, that's cool, dude.
Very nice.
So let's
talk the scenes.
Let's talk shop because it totally slipped my mind. We both have a hard stop. My kid.
No worries.
My kid with lunch. Let's talk. We're not gonna go like do Sports Debate Tuesday style and like bang out topics and blocks. We can speak a little freely, but I want to go to camera 4 again, and we could just read the headline, which will tell us everything.
Yeah.
UFC president and Donald Trump are on the same page for a fight card on the White House grounds. On Friday, Mixed Martial Arts Organization confirmed NBC's Greg Rosenstein it's planned to host an event at the White House. We'll just call him DJT. So we don't get flagged for politics. DJT's first publicized idea, proposing it for America's 250th birthday celebration on July 4, 2026. Now, here's what I kind of know so far. I know that they've been speaking to spokespeople. We haven't really seen an interview with Dana White. He hasn't officially said anything yet, right? And when you hear it from him, then you know it's kind of real. And also, when you think of the chronology of the dates, I think that Saturday doesn't fall on July 7th. It doesn't fall on the 4th. It falls on the 7th, right? Or the 6th or something like that. And take over.
No, so I've been hearing about this news and stuff like that, and I stay up to date, even though I am Canadian. I stay very up to date on U.S. politics. We might be the 51st state soon anyways. So I will say that he did when the president spoke about it, he did mention that he wanted 25,000 people, that there was going to be this giant area where it was going to be done, that Dana White was going to be figuring out like the formation of the stands or whatever, like setting it up on the grounds. But he also said amateur and professional sports, and he wasn't just saying MMA. So I do think that although the story is coming out because of Dana White and because of their association and because it would be a UFC thing, I do think that it's plans to have more than just that, more than just the UFC. So that's one thing that I think is very interesting. But the story is
right. So co-promotion wise, right? I was listening to Ariel Helwani, and he said Netflix seemed like the more suitable thing. I call him Ariel Smelwani, yeah, Netflix would be more suitable for a co-promotion for the UFC and like other combat sports and this and that. And I know PFL's got something on the holiday of July 4th, and I do appreciate the patriotism and what an honor it would be for fighters. Like the real winners would be the fighters. The real losers would be kind of the fans, because logistically you're not going to have regular Joes attend this. This is
well, you're not okay, yeah. But you're not having regular Joes attend the Apex, right? And the UFC Apex is a total bullshit venue that they've been running since COVID, which was incredible during COVID. But they've been running that thing still. And dude, that is terrible for fans, family, friends, like whatever. You can't get into the Apex. The cost of the tickets there are like 3,000 a pop, right? And they only have like 12 people. So at least, so who cares that you have one event on the grounds of the White House? Because let's say it is 25,000. That was the number that I heard. That's a friggin' lot of people, dude. That's not just the resident staff and right. And the valets. Like, that's a lot of people. So they'd be opening the grounds up for people. And it's a show, dude. It's a show. And it's another way to bring sports and whatever, and bring that community. Like, you have to understand that community has greatly supported him throughout his campaign and throughout everything. And so I think like it's also a way to pay back, man, to the people that may have gotten him there or helped get him there.
It's also a give and take thing, right? Like Dane, just briefing our audience, because I have a lot of volleyball people, but a great mixture of UFC fans. Just briefing people on the history. When Dana White bought the UFC, they were in something we call the red, right? They were hemorrhaging and they were losing
massive
money. And at the time, DJT, the Prez, we'll just call him the Prez, offered like some of his venues to do the shows, right? Because at the time it was really hard. This particular combat sport was hard to be licensed for. Sorry.
That's right.
And you know what I'm saying? So first of all, New York wouldn't have it. Like I remember John McCain calling it human cockfighting, and they really tried to bury this before it got too big, especially boxing, right? So DJT, the Prez, actually offered venues for
his
Dana
hotels
White
in Atlantic City.
And to his credit, like he didn't come. Like, no matter who you voted for, you got to give someone credit for coming and watching every single match, right? Like, some people come for the last match and they sit or whatever, and then they bounce. This guy watched. Yeah. He sat there and watched every match. So I want to chronologically, I want to take you guys back to the early 2000s when the UFC wasn't even anything. A lot of you didn't even know about it till after The Ultimate Fighter. I didn't, and how far back that this guy goes with Dana White. So, so there's going to be that relationship, and Dana, like, I don't know. Do you think Dana would feel like, this guy's had my back. I kind of owe him this. Let's make it happen.
Dude, I think you're chomping at the bit for this opportunity. Are you telling, like, dude, I think every single person, like, I don't know who would be against it. Like, who would at all be against that? And remember, too, that Dana White is not in full control, right? UFC is now owned by the TKO group, the Endeavor, right?
That's true.
So you got to remember that corporate monster that owns UFC and WWE, you're telling me that they're not going to go like, wait, we've got an opportunity to headline a show on the White House grounds, yeah, we're doing that. Like, I don't care. Bring, dig up Stipe Miocic's bones and bring him, and he's gonna headline Jon Jones out of retirement, Tom Aspinall. Like, you would bring all the greatest, right, to be there, and it would be like a Super Bowl. It would be the greatest event ever that they could hold. You would have to imagine it would be absolutely incredible. And what it does too, it sets the stage for future things, right? It sets the stage for other sports to go there. I mean, I don't know how big of an arena or whatever it's going to be. 25,000, man, that's pretty big. That's like a hockey-sized arena.
Yep.
So I don't know where you're going to build that or how that's going to work or whether that's just makeshift stands. But if you can get this to start going, will they have a beach volleyball event on the White House grounds? Will they have tennis events on the White House grounds? Will they have polo events on the White House grounds? Basketball games on the White House grounds? Hockey games in the winter on the White House grounds? Dude, the sky is the limit. So if you're any kind of sport fan at all, like, you should be supporting this because of what it can do in the future. Like, this is just a way for politics to bleed into regular society and capture normal people's attention. You know what I mean? Like, people that normally don't give a crap.
But do you see the drawback? The problem is he's such a polarizing figure. It forces people to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? And I again,
do you think
I'm.
But do you think people have left the UFC because he's in that arena?
No, and I think, look, Dana put it best. Dana said that anyone that doesn't want to be my friend because of who I voted for, like, I don't want to be your friend either, right? Like he said in 2020, but like Biden won, right? I didn't vote for him, but that was my president, right? So Dana put it in a very old school way, like the way before this thing, the juice got turned up. We as Americans were like, okay, we got to deal with this guy for 4 years and let's work together, blah blah blah. But like the Super Bowl winners, you had people declining the White House visit because of him. NBA champion winners, and I hate it because sports is supposed to be your escapism from this world that these shills desperately want everyone. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's more eyes on them.
I get it.
It's more ratings. They get paid. Everyone hates each other. You understand what's happening in America?
I understand. I think that if you want to be angry about stuff, you can be angry about stuff. Like, if you want to find a reason to complain, you can find a reason to complain. If you want to find good in things, then you can find good in things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like, if you're doing the sport there, take it for what it is. And if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
Right.
What I don't like doing, I'll take you back to like at my work. I work a regular 9-to-5 job. At my work one day, they were going around for like a pizza, not a pizza day, like some sort of like outing day, right? And they're like, oh, we're going to go bowling or something like that, like all the people. And they were like, would you want to bring your wife or not? And they were like going around to everybody and saying, do you want to bring your spouse or not? And so, lots of people were like, yeah, sure, I'll bring my spouse, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, whatever. And some people were like, no. And they're like, okay, so we're going to see who wins, the yeses or the nos. And I'm like, wait, the person that's voting no is just saying they don't want to bring their spouse. I don't think they're saying they don't want Timmy B to be able to bring his spouse. Like, is that what they're voting for? Like,
exactly.
If you don't want to, don't. That's okay. But like, let people enjoy. I understand that it's divisive and polarizing, but we're in a world that is far too polarizing now, and every little issue has to be like divided. Like you're saying, like, I don't want to be your friend anymore because you did this or you voted for that or you like that person. That's not the way that the world really should be. And so maybe events like this can kind of bridge that gap to go like, okay, like, can we all just enjoy this for a second? Not everyone at a UFC event voted the same way. I can guarantee you that.
Right.
But yet we're all there to enjoy that. So wherever it takes place, and maybe it's not meant to be divisive. Maybe it's meant to just support. Now, we're all going to hate certain fighters, but
I think that's a great point, because I think if they do this the right way, it's going to do what sports was intended to do. Sports was intended to take people that have these differences and say, hey, we're all one people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
race, religion.
Like when someone's watching a football game, are they watching mindfully aware that it's a majority like black? No, they're just watching a football game, right?
Yeah.
Baseball, right? They're not. They're like look, the UFC doesn't even have an American champion right now.
Right? Yeah, is there not?
Think about it, except Kayla Harrison?
Kayla Harrison. There you go. Yeah.
She's it.
Kayla Harrison.
Ooh, we got to talk about that, man. Jeez, what an absolute murking.
Close the division.
She did. Yeah, she closed up shop in that division, didn't she? No, but
it's over.
But I like what you said, because the White House could have someone else 4 years from now, or someone, the same whatever. Right. But the White House still stays the same.
And what I would say is, what I would hope is that, like, let's say UFC does go now under this current president.
Right.
4 years later, it changes to another president, maybe a different party. I would hope that if that president chooses to invite Dana White and the UFC over, I would really hope that a sports organization would say, no, we're not going to do that, because you're not my guy. You're not the guy I voted.
And we don't get that sense from Dana.
Who cares?
And we don't get that sense from Dana. I think Dana would say yes.
Because he's a businessman. This dude knows where the money lies, and I'm going to go do it. Yeah. But I do think that's the key. I think that this relationship now is built upon their friendship over, we're talking decade, like 30 years these guys have been friends and business partners, right? So that's where this relationship starts. But yes, I don't think that's where it ends. And I think that hopefully if they set forth that stage, and I don't want it to just be UFC, mind you. I want it to be tennis. I want it to be hockey. I want it to be basketball. Like baseball would be too big, but I want it to be as many, beach volleyball. I want there to be as many sports there, because I just think it would be cool. Right. I don't know.
I think all other fighters feel the same way too, because again, there are a lot of fighters we both know didn't vote for him, but when he was at the sideline of Madison Square Garden, you before you die on this earth, or before you we're on YouTube, before you unalive yourself, or not unalive yourself.
I hate that term so much.
It's so stupid. Before you expire, you want to say that you've met one president in your lifetime, right? Like
we're all just freaking people at the end of the day,
Right.
There's a multiverse where you're the president and I'm the prime minister of Canada. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? We're all just people. We'll just do whatever we do. But we love sports. That's what we love. We love the competition. We love the drama. We love the stories, and we love the excitement. Like, that's what we're here for, man.
That's right. My man. Well, let's actually talk about some of the people that threw their name in the hat, right? Like, bringing your attention to Conor McGregor, and bringing your attention to Jon Jones, who was supposed to be our original topic, but that has shifted dynamically because of this wild announcement. Baby. Yeah. I want to give my opinion first. I think it's interesting that the bigger names, the men's division, threw their name in a hat, and you always associate these blue check guys or the big fights guys with big fights. But as far as being reliable is concerned, I want an American there because it's on July 4th. We want an American. I was like Chael Sonnen, and Chael Sonnen is like, I can't believe I'm cheering for Jon Jones to want to be in this thing. But who do you trust if you had to pick one American fighter that you felt was going to go in there and had the best shot at winning, right? Because it's July 4th. Americans want Americans to win, right? So, the guy we lean towards is Jon Jones. The other thing was McGregor versus Chandler, because that was a fight that people wanted to see happen for a long time.
Sure.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
First of all, I didn't hear that it was going to be July 4th weekend. So if that is the case, okay, cool. But I think it could just take place at any time. But it doesn't matter the date. If you're on the White House lawn, you got to have U.S. fighters. That's for sure, right? That's a given.
Right.
It may be difficult to pull a Jon Jones. Like, I don't think you go with any of the names that you think they're going to pull out, or something stupid's going to happen. You know what I mean? The other thing too is that if you are trying to elevate the sport and you're trying to elevate the relationship and stuff like that, do you put a guy who just ran over another drunk woman? Or like a guy who's in trouble with the law and stuff like that? You might want to take a few more squeaky clean fighters. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know who that is. I don't like Jon Jones. I'm not a fan of Jon Jones. I wouldn't want him to have that opportunity either. I feel like for all the crap that he's put through in his personal life, but also, which you never, where there's smoke, there's fire, but also, like, he's put that heavyweight division on pause for like 3 years now, or whatever the hell it's been, right? He's really ruined the heavyweight division single-handedly. So can we just give someone else a chance? Like, I'd rather freaking Derek Lewis. get the main event spot.
I'd like Lewis and Aspinall. Because Aspinall
get me fighters who are company men that have done their job, that have done, been responsible for the company and been there and put their time in and done it, and let them shine. Someone like Chandler, I'd be fine with Chandler. Gaethje, fine with Gaethje.
Yeah. Gaethje hasn't had a fight that wasn't fight of the night. Right? Then pretty much his entire UFC career.
I think he may win, climb up to the top of the White House and backflip off the dome. You know what I mean? Like Gaethje's a crazy,
stick the landing.
and stick the landing. No, like I don't know who it is. We're also talking like a year from now, so you don't know who's gonna be at the height. Mm-hmm. Like, could Sean O'Malley be bouncing back by that time? We don't know. But you want American Patriots? Colby Covington's not gonna do it. That dude's not winning fights. But Jorge Masvidal. Like, there's a lot of people that are American, but I don't know who's going to be near the top of the game that's going to make sense at the time. So that's the thing with our sport, right? With MMA, it's very finicky on time. You know, what have you done for me lately? One big loss that plummets you to the bottom of the rankings. You know what I mean? So,
but you mentioned a lot of fighters that actually have either A, star power, like everyone knows who they are, B, and they're enigmatic enough to make their own star power. Like a lot of people never heard of Derek Lewis, but you know what? If he fought at the White House, his character. First of all, it would be great for his brand, and second of all, we know, because we're neck deep in this. The people who met him for the first time would love that guy. It would It would be fantastic, right? Like, I
mean, it's tough. You don't want to put together a crappy card, but I mean, like, look, even if I Google American UFC fighters, it says some notable fighters include Jon Jones, Dustin Poirier, he's got his retirement fight coming up, Max Holloway, that's a good one, Henry Cejudo, he's on his way out, Colby Covington on his way out. Like, even the list that Google is going to give me is not extremely high stake relevant for what that event would be. So it is tough. Like, you do need to develop the American stars. There's many out there, but like even Google's not pulling up names that I think would be right for that card.
Right. Yeah.
So
interesting. Let's jump to Jon Jones briefly about retiring. Right.
Yeah,
and then the allegation, and then him unretiring. So basically bringing everybody up to speed. Jon Jones says he's hanging up his spurs. A couple of days later, a report comes out that he left the scene of an accident again. So this is not his first, but it was also the allegation happened like significantly before his retirement. So my theory was the story was going to break in a big enough way where he was just trying to step away and not take the UFC down with him, or the best way he could, right? Because he's always going to be associated with the UFC. So here you have this guy. He's retiring, and he might. They're really trying to bust him for this, because again, this is not his.
Well, have you heard the recording?
This is not. Yes, this is not his. Yeah, like threatened.
Yeah. The girl.
Yeah. Yeah, the recording make it sound like he threatened the police, but it turns out when you listen to the whole thing, he didn't. He didn't.
It sounds like he's talking to the girl in the car when he's saying those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that made more sense. And then you have him unretiring, but he unretired before this White House thing came out. So that's just him. And again, it's not your favorite fighter in the world, so we can jump on and off this. My take is, I don't like fighters who hold up the division, right? I understand when your brand is strong, the rising tide lifts all ships. But the drawback is when you go, you know what happens? All those ships sink. Because the timing and how you left, and it's like, where does the UFC go from here? And Dana's to his credit says there's always going to be new stars coming, but you have to. At least with the WWE, there's which is entertainment and not real fighting, but they have a way of passing the baton to keep it going, right? The Undertaker had to lose at WrestleMania to Brock for that to happen. Like Brett passing a baton to Shawn Michaels, right? The good guy versus bad guy era introduces the Attitude Era, right? So I'm just explaining the chronology, and again, for wrestling fans, I apologize. People who don't watch wrestling, sorry, it's the best I could do. Or basketball, right? Jordan had
what's wrong with you?
Jordan had to pass the baton to Kobe, right? Everyone was calling him the heir apparent. when Jordan retired. It wasn't like Jordan did me, and left. Well, a lot of that, but so you got this guy who unretires, and there's nothing that upsets me more than someone that holds up a division for a year, which is why I Conor McGregor is out too. This guy, the only thing that kept the 155 division alive is the top 8 people were savages, right? And you had an interim at the time, Tony Ferguson, who fell off but was doing great, interesting things. Then Gaethje joined, and then you had Gaethje fight Alvarez, which I thought was fight of the year until I saw Gaethje fight Dustin Poirier, right? So that was like a same year fight. So Conor got a pass because the division was strong, but the heavyweight division was in flux. And I'd like to land by saying I don't trust him, and you want to like him because he's great, but he's making it really hard.
Yeah, the problem is, and I detailed this on my podcast, which you should definitely watch after you watch this podcast every week. But on the Fight Insight podcast, when he retired, what I did was I pulled up the wording of his tweet, which was very weird because he goes, "I am retiring from the UFC." Guess what?
Okay.
You don't retire from the UFC. You retire, or that's it. There's no retiring from the UFC. You don't retire from the NBA. You retire from basketball. You don't retire from Walmart. You just retire. So the wording that he had used at the time, I had predicted that it was all semantics, and that what he was doing was maybe he had worked out a deal with Dana White that he wasn't going to do MMA anymore, but because he was under contract, remember, retiring does not void your contract. That's why GSP can never fight anymore.
There's a no-compete clause, right? There's like a no-compete clause.
But no, it's just that he's still on contract. The contract hasn't ended because you haven't fought out your fights. So Jon Jones saying, "I retire from UFC," my idea was that it was maybe some sort of deal he had struck with Dana to say, okay, I'm retiring from UFC MMA, but you'll let me go box on some of your future boxing cards, or you'll let me go compete in whatever, and maybe you'll co-promote it or something. But I thought there was something weird, only for him to now turn around and say, I'm not retired. Get the hell out of here, dude. Like, this is so stupid. Have they stripped him of the title? No, right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, Aspinall's the champ now.
Is that for sure?
Yeah.
They upgraded him?
They had to, because when Jon Jones retires, the interim champ becomes the champ.
I don't know that I saw that story, that he has been officially declared the heavyweight
champion.
Well,
as we're continuing a dialogue, let's look that up. In fact, let me answer that while you're looking that up for me.
I mean... But anyways, yeah, like I'm not a fan of the guy. I think that holding up the division is terrible, but it's not just him to blame. Like, obviously the UFC is to blame. Dana White and his unabashed like favoritism of this guy has allowed this guy to literally hold a title hostage for years. And it's not good for all the other fighters. One of the things, because I love amateur fights and I love like the grassroots level of MMA. You need places for people to grow and to prosper and stuff like that. And so if you're a champion and you're just holding up a division and all those heavyweights on that roster can't do anything, they can't move, they can't go anywhere, that's craziness, man. Like, you can't be allowed, you can't be doing that. And that should be Dana White that should be in control of doing that. There you go.
Yeah. AI is a great thing, isn't it? Thank you, AI. Yeah.
Tom Aspinall has been promoted to undisputed UFC champion.
Following Jon Jones'
This video shows the moment Tom Aspinall was announced. All right, well, there you go. Dude, that news never flew on my radar. I don't know.
Yeah. For me, because we've seen these divisions held up by people's untimely retirement, the first question on yours and my mind was always, what's the situation for the interim? Does the interim have to fight someone for the undisputed belt, or is the interim promoted? So the only reason why I knew is because it was my animal impulse to ask the question of what's the deal with the interim? That was the first thing I looked into, and good for Aspinall. To me, the interim champ says, hey, real champ, defend me or give up the belt. That should be the translation. That should be the code ethic of the interim champ, which I think we both probably don't like the term anyway. We don't like interim champs. Everybody gets a belt. Jeez, but yeah, I'm glad for Aspinall. And I think Jones is trying to put him through a psychological thing, but because when he faces him, not if. I think he's going to face him. He's just looking for the right moment. The timing is everything for Jones. Jones could have fought Stipe when he was in his prime. He chose not to. He knew why.
Yeah.
Right?
Waited till he was like sitting on a couch somewhere in Cincinnati for 3 years. Like I don't know, because it is funny though. Like so he retired. They strip him of the title. Then 2 weeks later, he goes, okay, actually, I'm not retired. Why wouldn't they just give him his belt back then?
Right. Well, because you gave it up. You can't just call someone the champion and say, oh, by the way, this guy's coming back. You don't have the belt anymore. That's not how that works. That when you give up.
I don't know how anything works. I'm just saying that's pretty weird because
when you give up your belt, the worst case scenario is nobody's champion, the best case scenario, the interim's champ, right? Like even WWE got that right when Andre the Giant beat Hulk Hogan, and then surrendered the belt, and then
It's funny when you talked about passing the torch and stuff like that, because one of the things that we were talking about as well was when Stipe did accept that fight with Jon Jones, right? And we saw how that turned out, and like I was always saying, like I don't think Stipe's training. Like I don't think Stipe knows he's fighting in a few weeks, right? Like he came out of essential retirement, okay? Like just total inactivity. Came out to fight Jon Jones, and you saw how he performed. There was no chance, I think, that he thought he was winning. I don't think he even went in there thinking that winning was a possibility. But I think Stipe, being the honorable guy that he is, went there knowing like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to let this title of greatest of all time, title of greatest heavyweight of all time, I will put it up on the line against Jon Jones, and I will essentially pass the torch, right? Jon Jones better be like thanking Stipe for the rest of his life that Stipe took that fight, because had Stipe never taken that fight, there would always be a dispute over who's the greatest heavyweight of all time.
There's still an argument that Stipe still is.
Sure. But casuals are going to say like he won that title from him kind of thing. What Jon Jones doesn't do, how he does not reciprocate, is he does not go fight the young up and coming Tom Aspinall. Like he does not give that opportunity for a torch to be passed. He just kind of hides away and runs away. So to me, the usage of the duck emoji.
That's what Conor did too. Conor's like, oh, I got a great idea.
Never
how about
once defended a title.
Yeah, how about this boxing match against Floyd, right?
Right.
And what happened? They gave Khabib the belt, and when Conor decided it was, Conor watched enough video and decided he knew enough about Khabib to fight him, but Khabib, I guess, never really shows everybody his hand, right? Like all of a sudden, he's a good stand-up fighter. That's something he hit. He kept in the chamber, he hid in his pocket. So I hate people that hold up divisions. I'm always going to be biased, and I also hate when people are going for these double champ statuses, because with Styles making matchups, right? Conor fighting Alvarez was the perfect storm, right? He never fought anyone else, and when he won that belt, he didn't have to go through Ferguson. He didn't have to go through these Barbosa, like all of these guys who are at their primes. He jumped the line for stylistically good matches, which is what Jones did with Cyril Gane.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
He knew he had better wrestling than Cyril Gane. He just needed to put on some. Even if he didn't put on the muscle mass, I still think Jones submits some Cyril Gane.
Oh yeah.
His balance and his ability to move. Sorry.
No, I agree with you 1,000,000%. Like I'm not a fan of double champ when it comes to skipping the line and moving up or down a division to get that title shot. I never like that. Again, I feel like, what about all the people working towards this friggin' title, dude? In flyweight, when they recently brought in the Japanese guy from Ryzen, right, to fight Pantoja.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of that either, because I'm like, wait a second, there's a bunch of flyweights that have been working through this division.
Yep.
Why wouldn't they get a shot? And then why wouldn't you make the Ryzen guy fight for the title shot? Like, let him just fight one time. Give him. But then, you know what I mean? Like, that's not cool, man. I remember I was talking to Charles Energy Johnson, who's a flyweight, who's like got a great record and does very well. We were talking about that fight right before that kind of thing happened. I'm like, dude, aren't you kind of mad because you're in the top 10 wouldn't you think that, like, hey, if you're desperate to find someone to fight for the title, why don't you give it to you who's on a win streak? Like, why would you just bring in some guy and then that guy just gets whooped anyways? So what's the point? Like,
I agree.
it doesn't even matter. Might
I
as well
agree.
give me the title shot. You know what I mean? Like, if you just need
Sure.
a warm body, I'll go in there and get whooped.
Put in actor Jeremy Piven, right?
Exactly.
Oh, by the way, what if he messes around and wins? Piven wins. Piven
That's
wins. Piven wins.
It's like when David Arquette wins the WCW title, you know?
This is a joke.
Like,
Or just give a belt to Arnold.
yeah, yeah.
So the cool thing was we had a lot of subject matter we wanted to talk about, but in your genius, you are chronologically stumbling into the order in which I had it. That's you're brilliant, my man. So let's talk a little bit about the end of an era of certain fighters who are retiring or who are soon to retire. You know what I'm saying? People who are like long of the tooth. You got Dustin Poirier, right? He's got his last match coming up. Max Holloway, I don't think he's going to stick around that long as well. So I'd like to talk about an era of fighters that was Ferguson, that was Alvarez, that was Gaethje, that was Poirier, that was Conor. And by the way, that's just from one division, right? We didn't even talk about Israel Adesanya
You're just talking
and
about
Costa, whatever, and this and that. So the question is, and I think the first part of this question is rhetorical: are we witnessing the end of an era of fighters? And two, how does it affect the viewership? Do we have enough people from the other divisions beyond that name that are more galvanizing and energizing for people to continue to watch pay-per-views?
Even for me, I do a weekly podcast. My co-host, UFC veteran Brian Bam Bam Barberina. Dude, I can't even tell you the last time I've watched a UFC event now, like live on a Saturday. Like I've been kind of falling off, man. Like I'll watch a little bit here and there, or I'll pick up the highlights and stuff like that. But the star power is a little bit tough right now. You know, like now what I find is I'm just watching any organization where people I know or people that have come on my podcast or whatever, and I'm watching them for their fights. Octagon MMA, I've been watching a lot of that out in Europe. That thing's freaking exciting as heck. Some of the Rising cards, the BKFC cards, you know, like I'm watching like all different things just to kind of to spruce it up because I'm looking for something a little bit different. I will say, going back to what we're talking about, that UFC Apex, if I see a card in the Apex, dude, I'm pretty much just on a pass on that, man. Like I have no interest in that. I do think that the star power right now is a little bit tough. I feel like we're at a time kind of like post Andre Agassi, post Tiger Woods, post Wayne Gretzky. Like when you had such powerful stars and then they're gone, you're left with a little bit of a gap. And you've got amazing fighters, amazing people, amazing characters, amazing whatever. But it's just that star power is a little bit faded. And so I feel like, yes, we're at the end of an era because like to say that Ilia Topuria is the next Conor McGregor and all that, that's really pushing it in my opinion. No. Like I don't see that he has the crazy star power. Paddy Pimblett, sure.
Yes.
Like Paddy Pimblett, you know, comparing Kayla Harrison to a Ronda Rousey. I don't know. I don't see it. Like Ronda Rousey had a little bit more thing there, you know? I don't know. It is tough. I do feel like we're in a little bit of a lull right now. We're in a little bit of a time where we need some breakout stars, some breakout performances, something big to happen, you know?
I think there's also a distinction between, let's use two stars for an example. Let's use Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey, right? Ronda Rousey got her star power because the UFC machine decided to prop her up. And then in her debut, when it was time for her to deliver on that product, she did, right?
She delivered.
Where Conor kind of bet on himself, you know. I don't just pick the fighter, I pick the round, you know. I spank him. You know, I bounce heads. That's what I do. You know.
Tell him I'm coming.
Yeah.
Tell him I'm coming. Yeah.
And no, Diaz is like not a normal size adult. No, but remember that?
Yeah.
So there has to be one of those things to happen. You know.
Right. Yep.
And Topuria, I thought it was really cool calling out Paddy Pimblett, right? Dana.
But then you saw Dana White was really pissed at it. Like he was mad and he said he didn't want him to be there, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if that's because they want to set up the Arman Sarukian fight. But Dana was like immediately upset that Patty got in there. And I'm like, dude, you should be super happy. That's like a grudge match. It's got two personalities. Patty Pimblett, very, very popular. Like, how are you not going to make that the next one? I mean, that's perfect.
I'll do one better. How about make that the next one after this Armand match? I think the UFC should gamble. I think if a promise was kept to Armand, and if this guy beats Armand and calls out Pimblett again, guess what? That's that's a Super Bowl Sunday match.
Dude, I think you tell Armand, sorry, you got to wait.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, this guy stole your spotlight, man. He went in the middle of the cage and he made that spotlight.
It wouldn't be the first time they did that.
He took it away.
Like they used,
of course,
they used Khabib Nurmagomedov as a bargaining tool for Conor, right? For Conor to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, they dangle that, and this is a man who never lost. Guy, for everyone, everyone who managed to stick with us on this MMA thing, where it's Khabib Nurmagomedov never lost, and he built his own brand that we now know how to pronounce the name.
Yeah. Of him and everybody else. But I just think I think Patty will sell a lot more tickets than Sarukian will. You take that event, and I don't think they're going to be able to make it to Spain because Dana White kind of seemed to give the impression that Spain is a difficult market to get into. But go to England, man. Make Ilya go to Patty's hometown and defend his title on enemy territory. I mean, you do whatever you got to do. But I feel like that's the thing. You need stars, man. That's the point of what we're talking about. Yeah, it's an end of an era. You need bigger stars to lead into this next era, right? You don't go into a new era with nobody to carry the torch.
Agreed.
Who's your torchbearer right now?
They don't have one.
Nobody, dude. That's what I'm saying. There's so many great fighters, and this is the thing. That's what I mean. It's like the Tiger Woods thing, right? Tiger Woods came and he blew everyone out of the water, and he's incredible, and he's amazing. Guess what happens? All the kids back at home, they study, they grind, they get better and better and better, and that's why now the PGA is incredible golfers, young golfers, and stuff like that because you have this new breed. But you don't have those superstars because they were too busy freaking grinding and getting better at their craft to be worried about the personality aspect. And so now you need those breakout people. But that's in MMA. You've got all these incredible fighters, far better than we've ever seen before.
Okay, I guess my question is, at what point does the promotion machine have to take some responsibility on this and fall on their sword about that? Again, Ronda Rousey was someone the MMAs were excited about because her last match against Miesha Tate in Strikeforce, and them purchasing Strikeforce, and them actually deciding to have a women's division, right? We're going to have a women's division, which Dana said never. Remember, he's like, never in a million years.
That was just groundbreaking overall.
But that involved a promotion machine. She wasn't out there sounding like Conor. She didn't say, in fact, she didn't say anything at all, right?
But she had the look.
Yes,
her look was incredible. She had she was everything that it was just you just had to put her poster somewhere and people would go what the hell is this? It was.
But she wasn't like a KO artist. She had one. She had one. The best one. I'm not gonna call her one trick pony because she's evolved into something more than that. But if you remember the beginning of her career, I think it was 8 straight wins, 8, and all 8 were by the same move. Armbar, which is just her judo thing, and that was from her mom. Whenever she's taking a nap or falling asleep, her mom's trying to catch her in an armbar in her sleep. Man, it's like, ugh. So to me, it's about 3 things, and I was trying to tell my volleyball people, and many were not listening. It's about marketing and promotion, right? Butts and seats, and then the product delivery. So if you promote it the right way, the avenues, the venues, you literally get butts and seats because A is supposed to lead to B. And now I'm like, yo, we got everybody, everyone's watching. Please don't go out there and be a stinker. So the UFC, and I love talking about the UFC, MMA and the UFC in general because when they did market and promote it, the timing of the fighters delivering on product and delivery. Well, basically save them. I mean, we said in the beginning of this, they were in the red. They went from the red to the black almost overnight, via the Ultimate Fighter tough finale.
Yes. Yeah, but that's because the Ultimate Fighter show allowed these guys to give out their personalities. And at that time, that was like there was no such thing as social media, right? Like
Right.
when the Ultimate Fighter was on, I was picking up my rotary phone and calling my friends to say, "Hey, you got to watch this on Spike TV," right? Like there
Everyone was
was no
doing
social
that.
media.
Yeah.
So remember that show was like the blossoming of social media for what we now know it is today, right? It was like us getting a glimpse into these fighters' lives and realizing who they were, and it was personalities and stars. Like that all came about. Now, I don't know, maybe the UFC goes like, "Hey, it's your responsibility to build your own brand. Like you have Instagram, go figure it out." And it kind of leaves it up to
And
them. Like I don't know
then
how
they
much they've
just
got to
keep
push
the
it.
money.
I don't
What
know.
do you?
It's hard, man. It's hard, but like you and I are definitely seeing, and I think people would be lying if they don't say like there's a little bit of a lack right now. And
I
it's
mean,
hard because
yeah,
the market is so saturated. Like everybody's got their own YouTube channel. Everybody's got their own Instagram stories and reels. Everybody's got their own podcast. Like
right.
it's so saturated that like if you're a fan of
Oversaturated.
you can't be a fan of everything. You know, like
Right.
I like there's fighters and they all have their newsletters. Dude, do you know how many newsletters I get in my inbox? Like, and I try to read as many of them as I can, but in all honesty, I'm down to like maybe two or three that I'll read.
Yeah.
And even that's a lot. But it's like, but yet every guy is doing that and pushing it out. It's just very hard to stay up. And there's so many
I
fighters and so
agree.
many great people.
And I do like Hill's podcast, the heavyweight. I listen.
Jamal
Jamal
Hill?
Hill. Yeah, I
Yeah,
listen to.
light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 205. Sorry, guys, for
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
watching 205 division. Yeah, I really like listening to him.
I
He's
like
a
him
good
too, dude.
personality. I guess the only
Yeah.
thing I could say is to combat that there are sports that are more popular than the UFC that are still doing that. Like football can do nothing. American football still promotes, still advertises, still
Yeah.
says, you know what I'm saying? Still says Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are
But
going against whatever.
how many games does a football team play in a year? Do you know? I don't know.
17.
Right. You see that quarterback
Uh-huh.
17 times a year.
But you see
A
him
UFC
5 days
fighter,
a week, though. Like the way they do their promotion,
no, but
all of the
but what
morning
I'm saying,
talk shows. Sorry, go ahead.
but what I'm saying is, but all that they do, he's still out there competing 17 times a year.
Right.
UFC fighter might compete once or twice a year. It's very hard for them to invest. Like why would UFC invest year long in promoting Ilia Topuria when he only fights twice a year? Like
Right.
it's just not.
Feasible.
And then
Right.
you have city affiliation, you have team affiliation. Like that's right. Like it's tough, man. It's a tough business. You have to do it yourself. If you're a young fighter watching this podcast, right? You got to do it yourself, man. You got to promote yourself. Don't rely on anybody else to do it. Ask for help, ask for sponsorship and all that jazz, but you got to do it yourself, man. You have to make yourself marketable. You got to do something.
Give me an example of a fighter that was a really good self-marketer and kind of bet on himself. And when it was his time to win, he won. So he had the combination of his own marketing and the wins that kind of like made him. I really liked the first one that came to my mind was Israel Adesanya. Because he was really, really good, like outside of the cage, promoting himself. He always showed up to Ariel's show. He always had these Instagram posts, and I knew more about city sports or whatever.
Kickboxing, city
kickboxing. I know more.
Yeah.
I knew more about them than I ever have in my life, all through him. And then you got to see, but then you got to see Volkanovski. Wait, he's part of that same camp. And then you got that guy 155 who likes down to fight everybody. His name escapes me because
Dan Hooker.
Dan Hooker. Dan
Yeah.
Hooker's like down to fight everybody. I freaking like that
Yeah.
guy, dude.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
running
so-
like illegal fight clubs now. You see that when he on my Instagram. On my Instagram, he's always running this like is it the Dan Hooker 50K challenge or something? He's got these random people fighting in like a circle. It's very weird, dude. It's very cool.
Jeez. It's like Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Mr. Hooker? City sports, huh? New York City or wherever you are in New Zealand or whatever.
Yeah.
So here's another question. Fighters who move up to challenge champions. We were talking about double champ opportunities and this and that. And my first question was, who has a better chance of being a double champ? Topuria or Makachev?
But isn't he? Wait, I thought your question was triple champ. Double
No,
champ?
double. Sorry,
but,
we wanted to do double.
But he's already a double champ now, right?
Who, Makhachev? Oh, no, Topuria is a double champ. Right, so Topuria is a double champ. Who's the best chance of being a triple champ between him and Makhachev?
I don't know.
I go Topuria because I think Topuria can fight 170 because he still has, good good power.
Yeah.
But Makhachev, I don't see him sucking down to 145, and I don't see him beating someone at 185,
We need Islam to go up and challenge Alex Pereira? Is that how that would go?
Alex Pereira is 205 now. No way.
Oh, yeah. Alex Pereira used to, so Dricus Duplessis?
Yeah. He was on your podcast, right?
Yeah. Sure. Islam could go up. I mean, I feel like though as you go up into Dricus's level, like middleweight and above, like those guys are very big boys. So you'd have to keep bulking up. I don't think here's the thing. I don't know. It's hard. I don't think Islam stylistically does as well against DDP as Topuria would do stylistically against Islam. Like Topuria might have a better puncher's chance.
Right.
Than Islam at grounding out DDP, who's a big boy, man. DDP is huge.
He really is, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he still he's still 170 champ, right? Is he
still the champ, man? Yeah, still the champ. He's fighting Chimaev.
What did you call it? What did you call it years ago?
I love that guy, man. I love him. Yeah, but he's fighting Chimaev next. I think that's an easy win for DDP against Chimaev.
And the UFC should be getting behind that, dude. That's a great constant pressure match.
Yep, that's a good fight. That's good personalities there too. DDP's got a lot going for him. So PFL is in South Africa this weekend at Cape Town.
Huh. Okay. So, I'll be watching
that opens up the market for UFC to maybe go out there if DDP is still champion, man, and the South African market opens up.
And again, the marketing promotion, like you said, self-promoting is you don't even have to be the best fighter to get your money.
No.
Who's the guy that Dana White nicknamed him Big Mouth? Who's the guy that fights at 170? He used to fight at 175. He fought Josh Thompson. He fought Wonder Boy and
he just fought last weekend.
Yes.
Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland is, dude. Give that man his money for just picking up the phone and saying yes, right? Remember he got caught on some not ready stuff against Chimaev, which I thought was ridiculously unfair. That should have been Diaz. Instead, they're like, nope, we're feeding you to the wolf. Give that man his money. He's a guy that kind of bets on himself, and he's not going to be the best fighter in that division, but he's entertaining, and you want to come see him.
He's good, man. That dude, yeah. I mean, aside from that guy maybe taking some fights that he shouldn't on short notice, he's a guy that really makes a name for himself and makes a personality and stuff like that. It's tough, dude. The world is tough. To be able to market yourself and get the company behind you and get the wins and get the results.
Yep. But once you get it, once you start,
lightning. Definitely, man. It's all business. And that's what's really tough, man. I'm telling you, I'm so conflicted, and I think that doing more commentary, as you do, right? But doing more commentary in the world of combat sports and meeting these young amateurs and these young pros that are doing their thing, it really gives you a different lens on it, man. Where you just start to see the business from a different aspect, and you start to see how people are growing and what their lives are and what they're gunning for. And it's tough, man. You start rooting for the guys. Because you just want them to do well. You just want them to succeed in life. Mm-hmm. That's the different thing too. In MMA, in beach volleyball as well, because it's a smaller number of people, smaller number sport. But when you're looking at MMA versus a hockey team or a thing, when it's a whole team of people, right? Tons of people, whole team and whatever, and we're all striving and we're all doing whatever. But when it's MMA, man, one loss and your career is over. Two bad outings. Career's over. It can get very, very difficult, man. And so that's why you want there to be as many opportunities for people. You want them to do well, not just in the sport itself, but in their self-promotion, in their sponsorships, in their brand marketing, anything that they can do to get ahead in the world, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
No, it is. What match, if you had the power of the pen, what match would you like to see before the end of the year? You're Sean Shelby right now. You're not Timmy B. And you're trying to
Yeah,
make an interesting match. Wanted to see Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison, but I don't think there's a pen required for that. I think they're gonna make that happen.
that's a stupid fight, man. Nunes is retired and she hasn't been fighting, and I don't know how much she's been training, like competitively training. I feel like, see, now this goes against everything that I just said about passing the torch. If Nunes comes out and does it, it's kind of like a passing the torch thing. But I just feel like I don't like Kayla Harrison being able to come out, beat people well past their prime, and then saying I'm the greatest female of all time.
Right.
I don't know, dude.
But
Like,
we're also
no
operating
one will
under the
ever beat
presumption.
Ronda, in my opinion. No one,
Right.
no female will ever beat Ronda, in my opinion. I don't care.
So disrespectful.
In terms of greatest of all time, I just don't see it, dude. For what she did at that time, for her look, and for what she set up for women's MMA for the rest of all time, I feel like that you'll never beat that. I don't like her fighting Nunes. I hate that fight. I don't like
You're
Nunes
also
going out there
operating
just
under
to
the
get whooped.
presumption that Nunez is gonna lose.
She's gonna lose badly, dude. Badly,
I There's a lot of people
badly.
that thought Nunez was gonna lose badly too. That I like Cyborg. I thought that was a bad fight, and she face planted Cyborg.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
starched Ronda Rousey, even though Rousey took a lot of time away from the cage. But she did have the best training money could buy, even though not the best coach as far as bang for her buck, right?
sure.
Holly Holm is impossible to finish. You finish Holly Holm, right? Like Pena Styles make matchups, and I knew that would
Wait,
be
what? Who finished Holly Holm?
didn't Amanda
Oh,
Nunes finish
Nunes,
Holly Holm?
Nunes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
She was finishing a lot of people who normally aren't finished. Like Misha,
yeah.
she probably, that title match against Misha Tate was probably what's told Misha said, okay, I have my run. It's time for me to get the hell on, because
See
a
ya.
fighter's named Amanda Nunes, right? Fought Valentina
Yeah.
Shevchenko, right? So if you're saying she's past that, and this version of her is not nearly good enough to beat
But
Kayla Harrison, there's a lot of people that's going to co-sign with that.
but she hasn't been trained. I don't know how much she's been training.
Right.
I don't know how much she's not in mommy mode. I don't know how. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference in regular training to be in fight camp mode and to be there and be there and be there, versus like not being in it but still doing some strength and conditioning classes on the weekend. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and to fight Kayla Harrison, who's young, hungry, new in the sport, blah blah blah. I don't know, man.
You
Her
know what I'm doing the whole
past.
time you're talking to me? I'm looking up The Gap with Jon Jones and his last fight before he fought Cyril Gahn. So
No,
I
but
just
that's
want
different
to.
though. Jon Jones was only away. Wait, but Jon Jones was only away because he had like legal troubles and drug troubles and blah blah blah. Like, that's not. He didn't retire. Like, you're calling this lady out of retirement. She's
Right.
retired.
I agree. She is retired. Well, Jon Jones is. All right. So I
Like,
just wanted to go.
what is my fight that I would make if
So there
I
was a
could if I could
3 year
make
gap between Dominic Reyes and Cyril Gahn. That was a 3 year
yeah, but
gap
yeah, but yeah,
between
but he's always
Jones,
training. He's at friggin'
Albuquerque,
AKA
not
Albuquerque, whatever,
AKA.
AKA, ATT, whatever.
No,
No, not
John.
AK.
Yeah,
Yeah,
John
Winklejohn. Yeah.
Jackson. Yeah.
Winklejohn. Yeah, Jackson Wink. No, I would say that the fight that I would make, and this is going to be super unpopular, and I don't give a, but Dakota Dacheva versus Valentina Shevchenko. Get Dakota Dacheva out of PFL. That's total garbage. She's fighting this weekend in PFL Cape Town
Right.
in a non-title fight against Sumika Inaba. What? Like, not even for a title. Yeah, the least PFL could do is create a title and just let one of them win it. I mean, if Sumiko beats Dacheva, that is freaking incredible. But if
Yeah.
Dacheva wins, why is she just fighting some random fight? You won the PFL Europe, you won the PFL tournament. Give her a goddamn title and let her move on. But I think UFC has to get their hand on Dakota while she's at her prime, while she's like up there. Get her, bring her over. And that is a fight where, yes, you get your immediate first fight is against the title challenge, against the title holder. But I think Dacheva versus Valentina Shevchenko, and that's both like two striking queens. You put them up against one another, and then you see where the chips fall. But that's the fight that I think needs to be made. In the men's divisions, I don't feel like there's any fight that I'm dying to see.
I definitely want to see Joshua Van versus Pantoja there.
Oh, sure, but those things are going to happen anyways. You don't
Right.
need Timmy B to sign off on that.
Yeah.
That's just going to happen. That's going to happen. You're saying if I'm the guy, then what massive fight am I going to make?
No, I did.
And plausible.
set
I
that
need something
criteria.
that's plausible. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I need a fight that's plausible. So
you don't think
any
Nunez,
Jon Jones
Nunez and
fight?
Harrison is plausible?
No, I think that's going to happen anyways. I put that in the category if it's going to happen.
Right.
Like what else is there, dude? Once Kayla Harrison wins that fight badly in the first round, close the women's bantamweight division. You're not going to do anything that's going to be of any interest to people. That's also a slight problem that we've got in that women's division.
Right.
There's great fighters and all that, but I don't think anybody comes close to beating Kayla Harrison. And unfortunately, that's a real problem. Like when there's just that kind of a skill gap.
I think as far as, like her being Alexander the Great with no worlds left to conquer, I kind of agree with you. And if we both feel that's that way, I'm sure the UFC feels that way. And I really, really like to just, as far as marketing and promotion is concerned, I really like to see them spend some money, you cheap, and give this woman the rub. She's good. She's got a great look. She's great on the mic.
Who?
Kayla Harrison.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying she's got a good look.
Okay. What is the look we're going for?
I don't know, someone that can beat anyone's behind.
Just kicking ass. Yeah.
Doesn't she look like a kicking machine?
Oh yeah, dude, I would not like get anywhere close. What do you mean? Yeah.
If they promote her right, she'll be fighting crime by the end of the year. Okay, on some TV series or something. You know,
that would probably be the best.
The challenger defender stance. All right, so actually we're gonna wrap up because all of my topics that were supposed to be introduced as questions answered themselves.
Can I just say quickly?
Yeah.
Your women's UFC bantamweight rankings.
Oh, let's do that.
Right?
Okay.
Like just so you can understand what I'm saying here when I'm saying like we're in real trouble.
Okay.
Okay, this is an old one, okay? So this is old. Frick's sake.
As of Monday?
No, you wish it was that recent. Hold on.
Let's see.
Hold on.
Bantamweight women's, right?
My phone is like
we're talking about women or men?
Women bantamweight. What I'm trying to say is like after Harrison dismantles Nunez in what will be one of the worst beatings of all time, we're gonna have to move on to like what's next. And the problem is like what the hell is next? My phone is so bad. If you are working for Samsung,
well, let's do the top 5. I can go.
Okay,
on
here we
camera.
go. Juliana Pena, so that's not happening. Raquel Pennington, that's not happening.
And there's
Ketlin
such
Vieira,
a huge gap.
Nope.
You're
Norma
right.
Dumont, nope. Macy Chiazon, nope. Irene Alden. I'm at number 6, and I guarantee you wouldn't be able to pick these people out of a lineup.
Right.
Aylin Perez. Bueno Silva. Yana Santos. Do you understand the number 9 ranked female is 16-8 in her record? She's got a 66% win record, and that's your number 9 ranked fighter.
Let's see.
Like that's the difficulty we're in this division. And Yana Santos is 2 wins and 3 losses in her last 5. Like
right.
The division is a little bit in a tough spot.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
the division's competitive without Harrison,
yes,
right? Like if there's the gap is closed with everybody, but with Harrison, there's her.
Yeah,
you're right. There's her, and there's everybody else.
That's right. And so for that reason, that's a really difficult division to keep marketing, man. Like you said, like if you're the UFC, how much time and money are you going to invest in that division? It's tough.
Well,
it's tough.
They did it for Rousey when there was no division.
Yeah, but it was because we just kept feeding people to Rousey.
Right.
Because it was exciting. And we were like, holy crap, she can beat this girl in a minute? You know what I mean?
Why not do that with Harrison?
That was new. because we're past that stage though. I don't think we ever want a division where you're just feeding people. Otherwise, you're just like one FC or you're just like whatever, where they don't really have rankings and you just keep feeding people to these guys to lose. You know, like
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
we're talking about. I mean, these days rankings aren't worth the paper they're printed on, right? People just
Yeah.
get to again, just get to jump the line. Jon Jones gets to unretire, most likely fight Aspinall, right? This is a guy who's retired, right?
No way. Nope. Nope. Never happening, dude. I don't even know why he bothered tweeting that, saying that he's out of retirement. He's not fighting Tom Aspinall. He's definitely not going to fight now as he's not the champion. And you're going to go in there with no belt and you're going to go in there with less pay.
Right.
Although he'll just negotiate the same pay anyways. Who cares? But
Yeah,
that dude's not fighting, man.
well, Daniel
Jones is not fighting.
Cormier once said, and I thought he was very incorrect, when he was rivaling Jon Jones, he said, "John, the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be for you." And that's the biggest fault.
Right.
That was actually the biggest falsehood, because Jon Jones, the longer he waits, the more he sees a bigger sample size, and he's got a very, very high IQ team that,
Yeah.
like by the time he faced basically everybody that he didn't underestimate, he dominated them. Like what was the last close fight we had? It was the
Reyes.
Latino Dominic Reyes, who
Reyes, yeah.
I thought won the first 3 rounds. Honestly, I mean, look, if you want to go by Japan rules, like Reyes would have lost if there was a 6th round or something. This guy would have lost. If you have some predictive validity nonsense and not just go by scorecards, pick Jones, but on the actual scorecards, that was 3-10-9s. For someone that should have been a champion. So, who was the person you were glad to see retiring or saying it's going to be their last fight? I hope Tony's gone. Tony Ferguson. I really hope, and it's heartbreaking because I'm a fan. Like, you're a fan of people too. Bobby Green's your guy, right? We kind of have our guys, right? I hope Max retires too. I think Max,
Sure.
one more BMF to whatever is. Who's he fighting next? I wonder. Anyone know? Or what's the next BMF title? I forgot. What was the next BMF title fight?
No, that's just when they're dying. That's when like you need you need something on a card.
No, but there's
right?
there's another BMF thing happening, right?
No.
Okay, all right.
Who's the BMF title holder now?
That's not a title defense. There's no BMF defending champ. It's for the BMF belt, right?
But
because
who
Max
has the BMF
Holloway.
belt?
Well, Max Holloway in the
Max
best
Holloway
10
technically
seconds
has
in
it.
the history of MMA. Okay.
No, but technically Max Holloway has it, even though he lost to Chupuria. That wasn't a BMF title on the line.
Right.
So yeah, technically Max is still the BMF title holder, but I don't think he has a
I didn't even think it was a title holder, because the first one was Masvidal and Diaz, and Masvidal never fought Max Holloway.
Yeah, but then they recreated but then they made the belt again for Max versus whatever, right?
Oh, he's fighting Dustin. That's Dustin's last fight. Got it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's a great. Oh, that's right. I knew that. That's a great fight.
Yeah.
That's a great fight. That's as good as a fight as Max versus Korean Zombie for Korean Zombie's retirement fight. Like that's a good fight. Not only is it a good fight stylistically, right? Because it's just going to be a nice stand-up war, but Max is so respectful, man. Like when Max beat the hell out of Korean Zombie, and then the way that they were so respectful, and after that Max is a guy that's just such a great guy that he's going to make that fight memorable, and that he's going to be respectful at the end of it, win, lose, or draw, and that's a very good fight for Poirier.
Right.
I like that.
What was
Poirier deserves that.
Before we go, and you might not know because I'm catching you on some not ready stuff.
Yeah.
Is there like a last 10 seconds of a round that brings back what's like the first thing that came to your mind? Because we brought up Max. If you remember Max and Gaethje, the last 10 seconds where he was ahead of us on the scorecards and kind of like just drew a line in the sand, pointed straight down, and he's done that before against at 145 against I forget his name, but it was great. He's done that before, but never on this level. So I go back to Horiguchi and Demetrius Johnson. The last 10 seconds of the 5th round, scored a submission.
Yeah.
Scored a submission with 1 second left.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you mentioned Korean Zombie. You can also go back to Korean Zombie and Yair Rodriguez. Yes,
The
he
backwards
turned
elbow.
and
Yeah. The
boom.
inverted. Yeah, that one. And then, and then I'll say like one of the fights that I really enjoyed was Holly Holm versus Misha Tate when Misha Tate beat her for the title. I mean, she was getting whooped for 4 rounds.
Yes.
And then she pulls out that choke and chokes her unconscious in that
Yeah.
fifth round right near the end of that fight. That was a crazy one too, man. Like a lot of drama in that. So yeah, there's been some good finishes last minute. That's for sure.
And you felt for Misha Tate because when she lost to Rousey the second time, you told yourself if she was ever going to be champion, that was it. And it was too bad, wrong place, wrong time against a stylistic nightmare, and someone that everything you do, she does better because she's geared. She's custom built to beat Misha. She really was.
Yeah.
And anything that lasted longer than 1 round, Misha did just on pure heart and will. So when you saw her come back and beat Holm, like anyone that's followed her journey, and anyone has like a pulse or a heartbeat, there was an emotion that came out. You're like, oh my God, I'm so happy for this chick, right? Because you don't know whether to be sad for Holly, who's a good girl too, right? Who's easy to like and who was ahead 3-1 on the scorecards,
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. But those are my three. God, we should do a compilation video. What are our top 5 last 10 second rounds? You'll be more prepared for it. So let's hit up on the rebound before the next pay-per-view. July 26th is my birthday, and that's not a pay-per-view. That's going to be on.
Happy birthday, my friend.
Yeah, I turned big 5'5", baby. Yeah, I know. I look like
I don't know if you're allowed to be on the internet after 55, so we'll have to check.
Honestly, I got so little sleep. I look every year that I am. Usually I don't look 55. I look like a creepy 30.
Oh, nice.
Hey,
I like it.
Hey, little girl. Girl's like, Mom. Yeah, today I got no sleep. I made this happen because I really, really wanted you back on the podcast, and I really
I love it.
really miss talking shop.
Yeah, man, I always love the opportunity. I love how we go off on our crazy tangents and talk about all sorts of things and be really like unfiltered, man. Like just talk about stuff real. Like if I don't know something, frick, dude, I don't know it.
Exactly.
If you know something, you know something.
I'm only have you on the podcast because you're always going to know something more about MMA. I don't. This is your in discussion, it's our wheelhouse, but in profession, I appeal to authority. In the rare occasion, I appeal to authority. Yeah,
there you go.
I'm such a for authority. I don't appeal to authority.
Nice.
Yeah. So a little bit more about your Insta and all that stuff before we get to our hard stop.
Just like, look, man, I always appreciate it. Look, if you're interested in MMA stuff, combat sports in general, like, look, I've been having a lot of power slap people on my podcast. Don't hate me for that, man. Look, I think it's stupid as hell. But man, I've had 3 guests recently from Power Slap. Jason is gone. He has disowned me now. But yeah, if you like MMA, combat sports, any of that stuff, and look, you don't have to be into it. We talk to people just real, man. We talk to people like just have real conversations, talk to them about like just all sorts of stuff about their life. We don't get into like, hey, what's the combo you threw in that fight? You know what I mean? Like we just talk about good stuff, man. Talk about lots of drama, talk about some good conspiracy theories. And if you like any of that stuff, come check me out at Fight Insight Podcast on Instagram is mostly where I am. But you can also find me on TikTok, whatever, Spotify, anywhere. YouTube is where my podcast normally goes if you want the audio and video version. I'm also on millions.co. I do some stuff for them. I'm doing interviews over there as well, but mostly at Fight Insight Podcast. Find me on YouTube and Instagram. Go there, subscribe, tell your friends. It's the best damn podcast that you're not already watching. Is. So go check it out.
And that's the genius of your podcast. You it's a conversation. It's like a real conversation, and you're not trying to spoon feed everybody the answers. In fact, you dialogue where you and your guests shape the question, and you leave it up to the audience to answer that question together. And that's the genius of your podcast. That's also the genius of the Option Podcast. What were you going to say?
No, that's it, man. Like this week, this week I've got Lucky Lauren Murphy. She's fighting her 15th and final fight for the UFC
Talk about
this weekend.
Heart, huh? Talk
Dude,
about a fighter with heart, dude.
I haven't had her on the podcast in 3 years. I had her on the podcast 3 years ago before she fought Miesha Tate and had a very amazing fight where she beat Miesha Tate. I haven't had her on the podcast in 3 years. She's now retiring. It's fight week, and she's so gracious to come on the podcast. So I'm happy. I'm talking to her in just a few hours. So very excited, and you can check that out on Thursday.
Nice. Okay, so Timmy might love you guys, but I don't love any of you guys. In fact, I'm out of here. Okay, so for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPads and your iPhones, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world? Old school, baby. Old school for my man, Timmy B from the Fight Insight Podcast. I'm Jason DeBillius. Let's go full screen on you. I'm Jason DeBillius. This is episode 246 of the Option Podcast. We're going to hit fake music because I don't have music today, and we're out.
All right, buddy. I got to get out of here.
Ahead,
I'll see you later, my friend.
Yo,
Thank you
out.
so much.
Peace.
Dude, we'll do this again.
Peace.